You booked it, episode 186. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me today on You Booked It, the #1 podcast where you learn how to create a successful entertainment career. Over the past few months, I have been working in the background putting together a little something that is pretty cool, and it is finally ready to share with you. I am excited to announce the You Booked It community. It is your go-to career resource and the only platform worldwide that covers the entire entertainment industry. From unlimited masterclasses to building industry relationships to chatting with Tony winners, Emmy nominees, and past podcast guests, the community has everything you need to navigate a successful entertainment career. Check it out for yourself. Head over to youbookeditpodcast.com/community or tap the link in the description of this episode, and we'll see you inside. And now, let's meet today's guest. Okay, let's get this started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Bianca Leigh. Are you ready for this, Bianca?
Yes, I am, Dane.
All right, let's do it. Bianca is an actress, singer, writer, and educator. Miss Leigh's acting roles include Waxy Bush in MTC's The Nap on Broadway, Mary Ellen in the groundbreaking film Trans America, Time/Wind in Taylor Mack's theater epic The Lily's Revenge, Tales of the City, the musical, Tatiana in Paul Lucas's award-winning verbatim piece Transcripts, Man in Love at Kansas City Rep, and Dr. Rachel Sandow in Law & Order SVU. Bianca wrote and performed her own solo musical, Busted, about the challenges facing a young trans woman in pre-Disney New York, and her play, MBJRT, was part of the Monday Night Playwright series at Kansas City Rep in 2018. She is featured in Laverne Cox's documentary Disclosure, an exploration of trans representation in motion pictures and on television, and can be heard on the audible recording of Chonbury Hotel and Butterfly Club. Bianca, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry?
Okay. I grew up in the suburbs of South Jersey, right across the river from Philadelphia. I went to Rutgers, got a BFA in acting. I've lived in New York for quite a while now. I am a working actress. I've done quite a bit of theater, including Broadway, a couple of motion pictures, and a little television. I also sing, and I've had a few gigs as a chanteuse over the years. Between gigs, I develop projects for myself. I'm currently writing a web series called Trans Cougar and a couple of pilots.
Brilliant. Let's dig into this first section here. And Bianca, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
Woody Allen, 80% of success is showing up.
Oh, isn't that true? It's pretty self-explanatory, but can you expand on that and how that has applied to your entire career?
Well, I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I just keep going. I show up.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a tortoise in this race. I also like the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Dane, this business can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Most of us grow up doing community theater, then high school productions, then college. Generally, the role went to the actor who gave the best audition. And then we come to New York or LA, and it's about so much more. Being good at what you do is just the baseline. Now,
the tip of the iceberg.
how you look, how you fit in with the other cast members, your height, your weight, age, ethnicity, your Instagram following, they all become huge factors. So for me, focusing at every level of my professional journey on the things that I can do and recognizing that there are so many aspects of this business that I am absolutely powerless over has been a lifesaver.
Oh, I'm so glad that you said that because That's something that's come up time and time again in this interview process with this podcast. And it's so true. There are so many
Mm.
factors that are out of our control, and you will drive yourself insane
Yes.
if you try to control everything. And to be fair, you cannot even show up properly for an audition. You can't show your best self if you're concerning yourself with all of the things that are out of your control.
Absolutely. I have met so many actors over the years, and I always love to have a discussion like you do. I mean, what's the career that you think you should have?
Mm.
And a lot of them will name another actor. Invariably, it's somebody that is completely different. And there's reasons why that person had that career, and we have our careers. We are individuals. We've got to stop comparing.
Yes, well said. And let's get into this next section here. And Bianca, of course, you are an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I think that you'd agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry like you're having now, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there's an outrageous amount of fun and excitement doing what we do, being an entertainer, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
Well, the biggest challenge for me was that the doors of the industry were absolutely shut to actors of trans experience for so
Mm.
long. When I graduated Rutgers, one of my acting teachers said, "Go to New York, stay away from Hollywood. They want nothing to do with it." And she was right. And even when things started to open up a bit around 2005, when I did Trans America, the
Mm.
opportunities were still extremely limited. I met agents at the LA premiere of Transamerica who approached me and said, "You're the real deal," which is what we all want to hear. I said, "Thank you. Actually, I'm looking for representation." And they said, "Oh, honey, there isn't enough work for you." It took me years to get an agent and a manager. Years. Things are a lot better now, though. Infinitely better. I'm not sure that I overcame anything. I just kept going. I
Yeah.
just kept going. And one thing I have to say is make sure that you give whatever project you're working on the same dedication that you'd give to your dream role. I was called into an audition for the workshop of a musical in the Broadway pipeline because the librettist, Oscar nominee Jeff Whitty, had seen me do an underground cult show in an East Village basement years before. He had me tucked away in his brain all that time. And that workshop got me into equity and onto a Broadway stage.
Wow.
Yeah, most of my gigs I've gotten because someone saw my work. So always do your best because you don't know who's watching.
So well said. And I think your entire journey and your experience throughout your entire career really just goes back to your quote and you saying, look, I just keep putting one foot in front of the next.
Yeah.
And that you can't control everything. You say, I know I can keep moving forward and at least I can control that. And we'll wait for this world to catch up with me.
My manager, Chichi Anyanwu, says, "You're all only one audition away from stardom."
Hmm.
I don't know if that's in the cards. It is, when the right role comes along at the right time, nobody can keep it away from you.
Yeah, so true. And let's move on to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing in the entertainment industry. Tell us about that.
Well, Dane, I was 5 years old doing a local production of Gypsy. I played a little clown in Uncle Jocko's talent show. I was supposed to pester and annoy the older boy next to me trying to tie his tap shoes.
Yeah.
That curtain went up, and I saw that audience, and I knew that this was it. I wailed on that poor kid. And then I went after Uncle Jocko, a big ham from the very beginning, and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, so good. I love that. And let's piggyback on it real quick and talk about your number one booked it moment. Walk us through that day, the auditions and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Getting a gig on Law and Order was huge for me. Law and Order SVU. Though I had done quite a bit before that, being on a Law and Order meant you were a real New York actor.
Right.
I have never been so nervous at an audition. I was trembling in the waiting room. I get very nervous at auditions for jobs that will take me to the next level. I get the lines and the choices in my bones so that the nerves won't throw me. I was called into the room, and there were two chairs, one for the director, Arthur Forney, and one for me. And about 15 people behind a room divider watching the audition on a huge monitor. 15 people. I read the speech several times, taking direction from Arthur. It's really important to make adjustments when asked. They need to know that you can be directed. They all seemed pleased with my reading. Arthur said some things about how they wanted to do this episode, which involved the death of a trans teenager, with accuracy and sensitivity. I didn't play the teenager. I played his therapist. He asked, would I mind helping them to get it right by answering some questions about being trans? I said, give me the part and I'll answer all the questions you want.
There you go.
And I booked it. Now, of course, I didn't act as a gender consultant for the episode. That's somebody else's job. I just acted in it. But I do think humor helped. You don't want to be a clown or a pest, but a good joke will get you remembered. Also, a director on a different gig told me that the second I walked into that audition room, they said, that's her. I try to keep that in mind when submitting tapes now because everyone is good at this level. You
Right.
have to be absolutely right for the part, almost as if they know before you even open up your mouth.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like you said, everything that's meant for you will come to you and it'll present itself. So, like you said, you walk into that room and they say, that's it. That's her. That's who we want. And you haven't even done anything, right? It's amazing. And how you can't control that. You just
Absolutely
fit
not.
what was in their head and they're like, this is it. And it just goes to show that you really have to just focus on the work, focus on what you can control.
Yes. And how I approach an audition or a video submission is as a step towards my goal. Sometimes the casting director has to see you quite a few times before they cast you. Being a known entity, sticking with it, building a relationship. There have been roles that I knew were just so juicy that they were definitely going to get a name. But I do it with the same enthusiasm because you want them to get to know you. And maybe that role is they're going to get a name for, but maybe her best friend, maybe her sister in a future episode. So it's about building blocks and becoming known, establishing that relationship and showing up.
Yeah, becoming known and establishing the relationship. That right there is everything. Yes, I think the romanticized version of this industry is that you show up to one audition and you get seen. They're like, oh, look at this star. We've discovered this person. And off you go. And then that launches your entire career. Sure, yes, that does happen. But that is the outlier of outliers. What really it is you have to, when I was on an episode the other day, and I was interviewing someone, they said, it's impossible to get booked if people don't know you exist.
Yes.
And it seems very self-explanatory. I mean, it seems very obvious, right? But it's so true. And many times we don't think that way. And it's about showing up again and again, making those submissions, showing up in front of those casting directors again and again, so people get to know you. They get to know the type of work that you do, your range that you can handle as you go in for different roles. That is what really ultimately results in booking those jobs. It's because you've had 100 auditions and submissions before that, and opportunities for them to see you and get to know you a bit.
Exactly. And they're human. After a
Yeah.
while, they start to feel guilty. They're like, oh God, we got to get her something.
Yeah, for sure. And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And it's a weird time, right? We're amidst this global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
Right now, I'm gearing up for pilot season. How many pilots are going to be filmed? I'm not sure. I know they've shut down a lot of filming in LA. A lot of my auditions in the past month or so have been for shows filming in Canada. One was filming in Australia. I'm not sure how it's going to play out and how long the slowdown will last. But the need for more content for streaming services is still pretty intense. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I'm just not sure how quickly they're going to be filmed, but the vaccine is here. So it may take a while. But again, we'll find out as it plays out. I'm ready. I'm having new pictures taken. Obviously, you have to stay current. If a picture is over 2 or 3 years old, if your hair is different, you got to get new pictures taken. No agent or manager wants the casting director going, she doesn't look like her picture. That's not the
Yeah.
person I called in. And when I was younger, I would just grab a couple of things and run to the photographer. But now I plan the looks carefully with my photographer, L. Morgan Lee, my manager, Chichi Anyanwu, and my makeup artist, Virna Smeraldi. I put a lot more into it. What are the looks? How can I really reflect that in the wardrobe, the hair, and the makeup? And I listen to the input from my team because a bad headshot will slow you down. It's easy not to realize that. But if they look at your headshot and it's not a good one, and I don't mean you look unattractive in the picture. There's a lot more that goes into it. And there's a lot of videos about that. There's a lot of advice, there's a lot of articles, but you need a good headshot that looks like you on a good day. You don't
Yeah.
want it to look like I was talking to my manager the other day, and it was like in the 80s. You could put on a ton of makeup and you'd have this lighting, but it's not like that now. They want pictures where you're not wearing a lot of makeup, where there's not a lot of Photoshop, and it really reflects who you are.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, having the right photo and the right headshot is so important. And it's good to note that depending on the market that you are planning on primarily working in or you're submitting for a job for, also will impact the ideal style of that photo.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really good to get input from other people because I've had pictures taken and nope, nope, too much makeup. It's not
Yeah.
commercial enough. It's too glamorous.
Yeah. Every market has its own look, right? So you're not going to show up in New York with something that you would use in Vegas or LA, most likely.
Yes.
You're just going to get more of that editorial look on the West Coast versus New York. And that's totally fine. But you need to have that as part of your arsenal of photos if you plan on working in those different markets.
Yes. You should always have one option that is almost no makeup and very simple hair. And then if you're doing 2 or 3 looks, then you can work up maybe a little more makeup and a nicer outfit. And then
Yeah.
I always like to try to get a couple editorial looks in just in case. So on certain auditions, they can see what you can look like when a glam team has gotten a hold of you. But
Yes,
yeah, there's always that
absolutely.
one, that lawyer shot where you're very little because sometimes that's how they want to see you. I look at it and I think I look like crap, but you got to have it in your arsenal.
For sure. You don't know what they're trying to cast.
Absolutely.
So, exactly right. Well, it is time to move on to one of my favorite sections in the interview. I call it the Grease Lightning Round.
Okay.
I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
Shyness. Most of my friends who've done well have a habit of just doing it. They don't second guess themselves.
There you go. Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
A choreographer named Vicki Davis once told me, steal from everyone, then make it your own.
Third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre-COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
Doing all these self tapes has taught me so much about working with the camera, where to look, the importance of minimizing movement, gestures. I'm also getting really good at uploading and then forgetting about it. It's a numbers game. I've auditioned for one network show 4 times. They'll book me eventually.
Just keep showing up.
Yep.
And the fourth question, what is your best resource? Whether that is a book, a movie, a YouTube video, maybe a podcast or piece of technology that you found is helping your career right now.
YouTube is full of performer generated content. It really is fantastic and inventive, and we can all participate. Casting really does look at this stuff. Watch it, learn from it. And your podcast is also a fantastic resource, Dane.
Ah, thank you. And the fifth question, if you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently or would you keep it the same?
I would be much bolder in my approach. I would drop perfectionism like a hot potato, and I'd network more. I was very shy. It's great to watch motion pictures and television shows to learn, but find out what your peers are doing right now in those East Village basement theaters. They're the ones you'll be collaborating with in the future.
Such good advice. Love that. And the last question, what is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
No acting technique is going to get you through every situation in every medium for 8 shows a week. Find out what works for you and get those acting teachers out of your head. Also, there's always someone younger and prettier or a better singer or who has worked with the producer before. Focus on what you bring to the table that is special and unique.
Oh, that is golden advice, everyone. Just rewind that real quick. Have a listen, and that will serve you very well throughout your entire career. And to wrap up this interview, Bianca, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
I can be seen on Netflix in the Laverne Cox documentary Disclosure and in Hurricane Bianca. I'm on the Audible recording of Shakina Nafak's play, The Chonburi Hotel and Butterfly Club, which just came out. My Law and Order SVU episode called Transgender Bridge is on Hulu. And follow me on Insta at Bianca_Leigh, Leigh, 2000.
Beautiful. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Bianca just said into the description of this episode so you can easily connect with her. And also, be sure to share this podcast with your fellow entertainers, coaches, teachers, arts and entertainment educators, and anyone you know aspiring to create a career in this industry. You Booked It is the #1 resource of expertise on how to actually create a successful entertainment career. Case in point, everything Bianca dropped here today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next guest. Bianca, thank you so much for joining me today, sharing all of your journey through this industry. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dane. It has been my pleasure. You're wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, be sure to jump inside the brand new You Booked It community. Head over to youbookeditpodcast.com/community or tap the link in the show notes right now and take your career to the next level. Inside, you'll connect with your people and develop real industry relationships, which, by the way, this podcast has discovered is the #1 fundamental that creates long-term career success. Discover opportunities and join in on over 20 upcoming live masterclasses. Tap the link in the description of this episode, and I'll see you there.